Okey doke.
I don't want, I got 12,010 in one job.
Okay, well.
Yeah. I closed it. See ya.
You ready?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the Municipality of Tweed Council meeting for March 25th. We always begin our meetings with our land acknowledgement. The Municipality of Tweed recognizes that our work takes place on traditional Indigenous territories, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We recognize and respect the history, languages, and cultures of the First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all Indigenous peoples, whose presence continues to enrich our communities. Miigwech. Please join us now in the singing of O Canada. O Canada, I'm home to hatred love. You are God's family. Beautiful, we see the rose, and through your soul we from far and wide, near we stand on guard for thee. Thou Lord, save me. We stand on guard for thee. We stand on guard for thee. Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the approval of today's agenda meeting, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Any comments on said agenda? Seeing none, be it resolved that the agenda of the March 25th, 2025 regular council meeting be approved as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Could I have a mover and a second for the adoption of two sets of minutes, the minutes of March 11, 2025 regular council meeting and March 14th, 2025 special council meeting? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Any questions on either set of minutes? Seeing none. Be it resolved that the minutes of the March 11th, 2025 regular council meeting and the minutes of the March 14th, 2025 special council meeting be adopted as presented. All in favor? Thank you. There will be a closed meeting. Council will hold a closed meeting during the regular council meeting pursuant to Section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25 as amended to consider the following matters. B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Mayor's remarks. Happy spring, everyone. After a long, cold winter with significant snowfall, reminiscent of winters past, we are finally welcoming the changing season. And a heartfelt thank you to our Public Works Manager and his team for their tireless efforts at keeping our roads and community safe throughout the winter months. On March 12th, I attended the Hastings County Community and Human Services Committee meeting. Later that afternoon, I participated in a joint working group between Quinte Health and the Belleville General Hospital Foundation to assess hospital equipment needs. On March 13th, I met with a new housing developer to discuss some exciting plans for future developments. That afternoon, CIO Pender and I had a productive 90-minute meeting with MPP Breezy, where we focused on 5 key areas of concern, which I'll address below. On March 14th, alongside Deputy Mayor Demarche and Councillors Valley-Kett, we continued our review of CAO applicants with the first round of interviews set to begin tomorrow. On March, excuse me, on March 18th, I chaired the Hastings County Planning and Development Committee before participating in the County Finance, Property and Personnel meeting, which led to a special county meeting there right after. On March 19th, I chaired the Belleville General Hospital Foundation Finance Committee, and on March 20th, I met with another tiny homes developer before attending a Kiwanis meeting that evening. Back to our meeting with MPP Brise, where we identified 5 issues of concern. First one was infrastructure investment. Our municipality, this is what we shared with MPP Brise. Our municipality is in urgent need of significant financial support to address deteriorating infrastructure. According to our recent asset management plan, factoring in the severe inflation affecting municipalities, we must invest $13.3 million annually in infrastructure over the next 10 to 20 years, with an immediate capital need of $120 million in the coming decade. This marks an increase from the $11.5 million identified in our previous AMP 2 years ago. Our OSIM biannual bridge inspections reveal that replacing 57 bridges and culvert structures will cost over $109 million, with $27 million needed for the immediate replacement of 27 bridges within the next 5 to 10 years. An additional 15 bridges require rehabilitation at an estimated cost of $3.7 million. Alarmingly, 3 bridges have deteriorated faster than expected, leading to severe weight restrictions, isolating entire communities, and preventing access for emergency services that includes ambulances and fire trucks, school buses, and agricultural equipment. The longer we delay, the greater the risk. Across Ontario and Canada, we are facing a looming infrastructure crisis that, if unaddressed, could lead to devastating consequences. If funding is not secured, we will be left with no choice. We will be left with no choice but to close bridges, roads, and possibly even facilities, disrupting residents' daily lives and sending a troubling message that our community is in decline. We urge the province to revise its funding formula for small rural municipalities. The current 50-50 cost-sharing model is unsustainable for many communities. A 75-25 split would ensure that essential infrastructures investments can proceed. I'm going to digress for a moment. There was also the third, a third, and a third. Well, we'd have to come up with 33%. We would encourage the federal government to get back into the game as well. Another note, when we met with MPP Brise, we asked why all of our applications were turned down. And basically, he was upfront and honest with CAO Pender and myself. He indicated that it's really because when these projects and the cost of them that are being tabled across Hastings County, they have determined that many of us don't have our 50%. So we're applying for funds because we have major infrastructure projects, and the government has determined that they're not going to give us money because they don't feel we have our share. Anyway, in talking with other mayors about this, they said it's up to us mayors to determine where our money will come from, not our share will come from, not the provincial government. However, I will say MPP Brise was very understanding of our concerns in infrastructure. The other thing we tabled with him was our small rural developer proposal. We have twice presented this proposal to Minister Surma, who committed to bring it to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. It was also presented to AMO President Robin Jones. Our proposal calls for financial assistance in the form of interest-free loans to help small rural developers cover infrastructure costs, with repayment occurring as homes are sold. This model allows the government to recoup its investment, with the only cost being the interest. Unlike the $10 billion spent on large urban housing initiatives, where both principal and interest are borne by the province and federal government. Unlike conventional 25 to 30-year amortization periods for those particular loans, our model projects full repayment within 5 years, providing a fiscally responsible approach to addressing housing shortages in rural communities. The third thing we talked about was the role of small rural Ontario in housing solutions. If you recall, in January 2024, your council hosted a developers forum where local developers presented plans that could result in over 600 new homes within the next 5 years. To support this growth, we have proactively revised our zoning bylaws to encourage housing densification and affordability. Our updated regulations allow for tiny homes, 400 to 600 square feet, smaller homes, 900 to 1,200 square feet, mobile homes on rural lots, reduced lot sizes and setbacks, and fewer parking space requirements. Additionally, our municipality does not currently charge development fees, though we are considering their implementation. We have answered Premier Ford's call for municipalities to facilitate housing growth and hope that MPP Brisé and the Premier will recognize Tweed as a model for how rural communities can contribute to solving Ontario's housing crisis. The fourth item we talked about was the Ontario Circular Materials Recycling Program. The new program, which excludes businesses and institutions, forces them to make independent arrangements for recycling collection, an impractical burden for small rural communities. Our municipal depot can no longer accept their materials, placing an undue strain on small businesses and institutions already struggling to stay afloat. If the goal is to improve recycling outcomes in Ontario, cutting out the commercial and institutional sectors from producer responsibility is a clear step backwards. Immediate action is needed. And since this is now a provincial program, we will be directing all related inquiries and complaints to the MPP Brisé's office. Residents, please note, this is not a municipal program. This is a provincial initiative. It is not one we support, but one we have to abide by. We repeat, please direct your frustration to the province as the delivery of this program is now out of our hands. And the last thing we talked about was repatriating OPP costs for small rural and northern communities. The Premier has emphasized the importance of securing a strong majority to allocate billions in response to the Trump administration tariffs. Repatriating OPP costs for small rural and northern communities during this period of economic uncertainty would be a significant demonstration of support. This initiative would immediately benefit 330 municipalities at a cost of less than $600 million. In the context of multi-billion-dollar expenditures, this investment is a cost-effective way to show municipalities that they matter. The initiative could include two conditions. It would remain in place while Ontario remains vulnerable to economic pressures, and municipalities be required to invest the savings into infrastructure projects. For the municipality of Tweed, this would free up approximately $1.2 million, enabling us to make essential improvements to our community's infrastructure. Please note that this modified proposal stems from a motion tabled originally by Councillor Valiquette regarding the provincial government repatriating OPP costs in perpetuity. I don't think that would be likely. We always try, but this is an alternative to get us moving in that direction. I've also sent two letters to Premier Ford, one outlining the benefits of our small rural developer proposal and another addressing the temporary repatriation of OPP costs. These letters will be included in our next council package. Your council remains committed to advocating for the needs of your community and ensuring that you receive the support you deserve. Thank you for your continued engagement and dedication to the future of Tweed. Thank you. Well, by the way, two things. Councillor Palmetier couldn't be with us this evening. He is not well. And secondly, we need to pick a date at some point, maybe towards the end of this meeting, for a committee of the whole meeting. So if you could just capture that somewhere and then bring that back towards the end of the meeting, a date for a committee of the whole. Okay. Okay, notice of motion. Okay, we do have a notice of motion. I'm going to ask you if you would like to read the notice of motion, Deputy Mayor Dimarche, because it is yours.
Okay, through the mayor, I put the notice of motion on here. I'll just read it and we'll discuss after. Be it resolved that the municipality of Tweed review and update the property standards bylaw with regard to vacant commercial units and the possible enforcement of such through administrative monetary penalties.
Could I have a mover and a seconder? You will be the mover. Oh, thank you very much, Council. So mover is Deputy Mayor Dimarche. Councillor Fleeler is the seconder. Okay, discussion.
If I may, I'll just explain. So I just want to first off state we are blessed with a whole bunch of businesses that have take a lot of pride in their business. And lately we've had some new businesses pop up like a bakery and such. And as you walk down and you see, some vacant storefronts that have been like that for a long time. Signage hasn't been removed. Windows are filthy stuff. You've got junk laying in the front windows, and it really distracts from what the businesses are struggling and trying are to do. And I'll sorry, Shannon, but I'll use Tweed News as an example. They do a wonderful job with their front windows, but right beside them, we got this derelict old restaurant that has never changed anything. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it the way it is. So I feel a distraction from what they're trying to do in making their store wonderful and doing the best they can. And then we've got others that maybe are absentee owners that don't care so much. So what I'm asking for this, and I think it's going to be a collaboration between community development and bylaw, are specifics on how, if a unit's vacant, how it's to be maintained and how it's to have an appearance. And it's not a vacancy. I'm not looking for a vacant tax. I'm looking for some standards to say, you keep your windows clean, you maybe put up black curtains in the background, you actively try to rent the unit or something, as opposed to seeing a bunch of buildings that look like they haven't been used since the 60s. So I think it's important for our businesses to have a vibrant downtown community that they can do well without distracting from their overall efforts. And I hope I got that across properly.
Thank you. Any questions? I do want to mention, Hastings County has a program, and we have one of the businesses in town that have done that, where they come in and they put a sheathing on your window, and it looks like there's a business there, okay? And it's free, okay? It doesn't cost anything. And this would go to addressing part of what,
And I agree. And that was one of the ones when I looked at I thought there's one that's trying
yes,
to make things look better. And if it's free, there's no reason why they couldn't intake to it.
that's right.
So maybe that could be incorporated. And that's something that I think you have to be really, really specific on what you're looking for and how they're to look. But like I said, there's other businesses that haven't existed for 7-8 years and their signs are still
Yeah,
up, so I think this is time that we need to support them and in their efforts to making things more vibrant in their downtown.
Thank you. Did you want to say something, Councilor Leo?
Thank you, your worship. I agree. And does this include all the businesses? Like we have businesses not necessarily on Front Street or the downtown, you might say. Some of the sites are very appalling, like it just gut wrenching just to look at some of this stuff. Could that be included in this motion as well, or would we need another motion? Because I would bring another motion forward if I had to.
Through the mayor, I didn't specify because I thought that I was thinking kind of along the same lines, or some empty commercial units that aren't being maintained. And I also would want to add, we do have some commercial units that are inactive that may need to be taken a look at too. So I am not opposed. There's storefronts in other parts of the township that probably should have that look.
Yeah. So also, your worship, we have storefronts that are vacant. I do agree that they need to be more aesthetically pleasing to the public eye, but I also think that we need to try, and I don't know how we're ever gonna do it, to try to encourage businesses to open up in the downtown core. And as we look at the world situation, things are getting worse as we speak, making it harder for people to make ends meet, let alone run a business. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we need to, be strong, push for what's right. And these vacant stores, like there's a couple of new buildings around that are sitting vacant. I think there should also be a timeline on, if you build a building, you need to get something established inside that building. No, just don't build it, let it sit there. We need to encourage business and more residents, more affordable housing, all kinds of things that are there, but.
Well, thank you. Okay, so I guess your motion will extend to businesses in general, okay?
Can I add one thing?
Mhm.
Also, I would like to see if council agrees and they come up with something that works. I would like to see a phase-in period. So right now, I don't want to see it where we put a bylaw in and all of a sudden they're all grandfathered against it. I would like to see a phase-in period, so 6 months notice, you know, that this is coming in, and after 6 months, if it's not complied with, then the amps start to
Yeah, there
apply.
should be no grandfathering.
No, then that's
No,
that's
no,
what I didn't
no,
want
no.
to see happen.
And the other thing is, I mean, a number of the businesses have reached out to us. I mean, people with vacant and said, do you have any idea of anybody who's interested? Like they've asked us as well. So like it's not, some of these places are interested, but I think what we should be doing is we should be making sure that Cindy and Rochelle know that also to let Hastings County know that we have this storefront because Hastings County promotes it as well and they reach a much larger audience. But anyway, a good motion. Okay. So any further comments, questions? Yes, Councillor Valiquette.
So actually, I like the motion that the deputy mayor has put forward. I think it would be difficult to put a qualifier on somebody who has an empty building that we want them to put somebody in a certain time frame. That
Yeah, no,
something
that
I
we
think is
can't.
out of our scope. But I think from a property standards perspective, to improve the overall look of the downtown, I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, be it resolved that council receive the motion of Deputy Mayor Demarche and further the council direct staff to review and update the property standards bylaw with regard to storefront conditions of vacant commercial units and the possible enforcement of these units through administrative monetary penalties. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, now we move on to a public planning meeting. Okay, I'm calling, oops, so we gotta pull this up first. Okay, we're having a public planning meeting for zoning ZA 3/25. This meeting is, this applicant is William Fox. The authorization is PA Miller Surveying. The location is part of Lot 13, Concession 5, Township of Hungerford, 37 Urban Road. The purpose and effect of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to change the zoning of a 6.3 acre and a 6.2 acre severed lots from the rural RU zone to the rural residential RR zone. And the retained lands shall remain zoned rural RU and environmental protection EP. The zoning of the severed lots to RR is a condition of severances B105/24 and B106/24 and will provide for the appropriate zoning for the size and proposed use of the new parcels. Could I have a mover and a seconder to get that on the table? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Okay, so we're moving into the public meeting. You've got that down there, Lori? Okay. Are there any disclosures of interest from anyone at the table? Seeing is there the proponent of the project? Are they here? Would they like to speak? No. Nobody out there? Okay. Is there anybody other than the proponent who would like to speak? No. Anybody from council? Do they have any comments or questions? No. Well then. Okay. So we had the mover and a seconder. You got that? Okay. Be it resolved that council authorize staff to bring forward an amending bylaw at the next regular council meeting. All in favor? Thank you. Departmental reports. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the administration department update for March 25th, 2025, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Anything in particular? That's pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any questions of Kelly? Yes, please go ahead.
To the CAO, I'm just curious, there was the Suncor lot that was kind of on there falling off. Have we ever heard from anybody? Have we reached out? I'm curious.
The consultant asked what designation we'd like to use for the well study.
Okay.
And we replied to that maybe a month ago.
Yes.
And we haven't heard anything back since then.
Okay.
Just also, I'm poor CAO Pender has been was so active in following up with so many things, and I've thrown two other things at him, and he and I are going to be working on is well, first of all, he's assembling when we start looking at when we stand and when we look at our tax increases and what the services we're providing. I've asked the CAO Pender to assemble across the region comparative study. so that we can see how we compare to everybody else, okay? So it'll give us some meat when we're talking about what's happening within our community. The other thing is, CEO Pender has been working on the asset management plan and breaking it down into component pieces, and this is no easy undertaking. But we're going to start seeing how we can throw some meat at this, and because I want to get as much done as I can from him before he departs, and so he's really good with the numbers and the spreadsheets and stuff. So the two things that we are going to be working on, which will help us in dealing with some of the very difficult decisions we are going to be having to make in the very near future. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none. Be it resolved that council receive the administration department update as of March 25th, 2025 as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, over to Public Works. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the award of gravel tender 310 2025-02? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Thank you, Councillor Flayler. Any questions on that award? Okay, we'll go back. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, be it resolved that council accept the report as presented, and further the council directs staff to award the gravel tenders for items 1 and 2 to Scott Trudeau Construction. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the recommendation for warranty options for the new grader? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Thank you, Councillor Valleycat. Any questions on what is being proposed? Yes, Councillor Flayler.
Your worship, that's the best we could do, for the trade-in value of the Volvo.
Yeah, and we're actually kind of surprised it's that
That we got
high,
that much.
Councillor Fluter. It's in pretty bad shape
Yeah,
and
it
needs
is.
a
I
new
understand
transmission.
that too, yeah, so.
A lot of scrap metal in that product. And as far as the warranty goes, graders are notorious for having early problems and late problems.
So,
So the 5-year warranty is
yeah, it seems.
a pretty reasonable investment.
The only other question I had, your worship, would be, the full machine not wear items, so I don't know what would be classified as a wear item, I don't know. Like
Tires would be a good example,
bearings,
belts, bearings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, oh yes, go ahead.
Not a question, Mayor, but just a comment. I think for a couple $1,000, you'd be crazy not to get that comprehensive warranty.
Mm.
So I think that was a good option.
Thank you. Be it resolved that council accept the report as presented, and further that council choose option 1, the comprehensive warranty for 5 years, 5,000 hours, and trade the grader to John Deere. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the council remuneration report, please? Thank you, Councillor Valleycat. Thank you, Councillor Flayler. Any questions on that report? None of us made the sunshine list. Nope. Be it resolved that council receive the 2024 council remuneration report as presented, and further that council authorize staff to post the report on the municipal website for public information. All in favor? Thank you. Civil marriage. Could I have a mover and seconder to table this civil marriage solemnization update? Thank you, Councillor Flayler. Thank you, Councillor Valleycat. Are there any questions on this? Seeing none. Be it resolved that council receive the civil marriage solemnization report as presented, and further that staff be directed to bring forward a new bylaw to conduct civil marriage ceremonies in the province of Ontario for consideration at the next regular council meeting. All in favor? Thank you. Can I have a mover and a seconder to table the bylaw enforcement report from February 2025, February 2025 Tweed bylaw operations log report and the statement of revenue and expenditures as of February 28th, 2025. Mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Valleycat. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Dimarsh. Any questions on said report? Seeing none, be it resolved that council receive the February 2025 Tweed bylaw operations log as presented. All in favor? Committee board reports. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the residential zone review council report, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Thank you, Councillor Flayler. Okay. Any questions on this? You're gonna Jason, are you just here to, in case there's questions? Are you going to talk to it?
Your worship, I was just going to ask a question.
Okay. Go ahead. Deputy Mayor Marsh.
To the mayor, I just want to say to Lucas and everybody you worked with on this was a big project. It took you a while in collaboration with Hastings. And I just want to thank you all. I think there's some significant changes that are going to help our development going forward here. And you deserve a lot of kudos because I've seen some really good things there. Thank you.
I have to echo that. I mean, this is amazing. It's something we've been hoping for. It addresses trying to not only support housing, but affordable housing. And this is one of the biggest things that we want to do in our community. So again, thank you, Lucas, and thank you, Jason, and everybody else who's worked on this file. I mean, it's wonderful. So I have no questions, only praise. Thank you. Anybody else? Same? Good. Geez, you came all that way for nothing. Dang! Okay, be it resolved that council receive the residential zone review report as presented, and further the council authorize staff to begin the public planning process to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2012-30 to reflect the proposed changes as reviewed by the Committee of Adjustment and Planning. All in favor? Thank you. Get it, Tim Hortons. I'll pay you when I see you next. Don't say that the municipality Tweed doesn't take care of our people. Thank you very much, Jason, for coming all that way today. Okay, could I have a move and a seconder to table bylaw number 2025-24, a bylaw to authorize the use of internet and telephone voting as an alternative voting method for the 2026 municipal election and subsequent municipal elections. Move and a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Norris. Thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Just a question through the clerk. We're going to have internet stations in here
Yes,
again?
we are.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-2024 be read a first, second, third, and final time passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 25th day of March 2025. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table bylaw number 2025-2025, a bylaw to authorize municipality of Tweed to enter into an eligible community depot operations agreement with Circular Materials Ontario, CMO. A mover and a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. Any questions on that? Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-25 be read first, second, third, and final time passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 25th day of March 2025. All in favor? Thank you very much, CIO Penner, for going back and forth and trying to get clarity on this. Really appreciate all your efforts. Can I have a mover and a seconder to table bylaw number 2025-26, a bylaw to convey certain property on Moneymore Road being part of Lot 26, Concession 1, Hungerford Township for road widening purposes. Move and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. Any questions on said bylaw? Seeing none, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-26 be read a first, second, third, and final time passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 25th day of March 2025. All in favor? Thank you. Items for consideration. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Tweed Hungerford Agriculture Society update? They would like to update council with respect to the Harvest Festival. The new date of the Harvest Festival will be September 26th to 28th. The car show and Touch a Truck will take place on Sunday at the arena. The society would like to move the Jail for Bail event to the fall instead of during the winter carnival and request the use of the jailhouse for this weekend. Could I have a mover and a seconder to get that on the table, please? Thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Any questions? Yes.
I'm okay with it. I would say if everybody's okay, we'll just direct it through the community development for coordination.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, no, just. Yes, Councillor Fleeler. Go.
That the arena itself or just the grounds? Because they would be putting nice in.
I think for Touch a Truck, it's just outside.
Yeah, during, yeah.
It's all outside.
That was my
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
Be it resolved that council will accept the update information from the Tweed Hungerford Agriculture Society and further that the Tweed Agriculture Society has permission to use the jailhouse during the Harvest Festival weekend. All in favor? Thank you. Now, could I have a move and a seconder to table a letter from Robert Giguere requesting council to consider officially designating Robinson Road North and its access roads, Flinton and Upper Flinton, as emergency detour route EDR. Could I have a move and a seconder to get that on the table, please? Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. I'm going to turn it over to you, Kelly, because you looked into this, but I mean, this came as a concern that when supposedly this does become an official detour route if something happens on Highway 41, 42, whatever it is. And when you look at the traffic that does come down our Flinton roads, the roads that are in need of immediate repair, and GPS also directs you to come that way to cut time down from having to drive all the way down to Highway 7 at Caladar and come across. It directs you there to cut down to 7. So we get a lot of truck traffic as well. And so, and this was one of the pitches that we made to Minister Surma. We wanted, I think it was $800 and some thousand to redo this road. This motion has come forward, which I think is opportune. I don't know, Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you now. What you could tell us.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. The detour routes are designated by the province off of the 400 series highways. If you look at the map with the designations, they're all off 400 series highways. There is no compensation to the municipalities that host these detour routes. Sometimes there are coordination with the OPP in terms of traffic management, but for the most part, in terms of upgrading the road or providing signage, anything beyond the EDR sign is the responsibility of the municipality. I'd suggest for this that we may want to send it to the Minister of Transportation and to our MPP, who's Parliamentary Assistant for Transportation, suggesting that they look into the situation. Certainly, the Flinton Road gets detour traffic both off of 7 and off of 41, and is widely used. I've used it a lot myself as the shortest route to go to points to the north, so it is widely used. Barring that, we may wish to look at truck restrictions that could take place, but I suspect in the event of a detour, the OPP are going to direct them on the Flinton Road, regardless of truck restrictions that we may put.
I was thinking of reducing the truckload, just like we did on Marlbank. And maybe even the speed limit on that road. I mean, it'd have to be monitored, but at least because the road, I'm hearing from all kinds of people about that road is. And then speaking to your comment about even the detours off of the 401, Tyendinaga is a terrible, terrible position right now. They've been lobbying for years to get the province to compensate them for the traffic on their roads, which are just, it is really, really bad. I think it's Shannonville gravel is one of the main roads that they're using there, and they have to keep it up, and it's costing them a bloody fortune. And there's been no movement on that. So that's a 401 detour. So yes, go ahead.
To the mayor, I know when there's a major event on Highway 7 or 41, I don't get a lot of calls, to be quite honest, but when there's a major event and the traffic's rerouted, I get calls from North Robinson Road. So I think the biggest problem we have is there's no coordination between the OPP and our Public Works. They just reroute the traffic wherever they think it's got to go, and Public Works is none the wiser. I think that we need to reach out to LNA County OPP and Central Hastings and say, if you have a major event, please coordinate with us where it should go. The last event should have went to the south of Highway 7 through Ekblad up through there. Instead, they sent it up through Flinton Road, which is the road's not as good up through there. So I think that an actual designation is not going to help the matter depending on the certain situation. So, I mean, I think we need better cooperation between the OPP and our Public Works, better and the Department of Highways as well. They need to communicate with and they did that for a while, and they kind of got away from it. So they've just blocked the roads and say you go up this way instead of saying, hey, where should we send them to a safe route?
So if they let us know, what does that require of our?
And the other thing too is Flinton Road's got the bridge where maybe Ekblad doesn't have any bridges,
Yeah,
right?
that's a
So
bad bridge too. No, but okay, so they let us know what do our staff do? I mean, it's
can we send a letter to the
no. I want to know
Mm-hmm.
what if we do, and the staff are called. What do the staff do? Is it just more of an awareness so that they're aware?
No, I think they should be calling Public Works, and if, in an event of emergency, say, which way can we reroute this traffic safely? That's where I think the coordination has to come in.
And to be respectful of the OPP, they're making these decisions, split moment decisions.
Yeah.
You know, they've got lives on the line and traffic waiting, and they're making decisions. It might be better to suggest that, you know, the Highway 7 corridor municipalities meet with the OPP to discuss the situation, and
Mhm.
maybe
So that they're
Invest in
aware that
some
when it
area.
happens, these are the two alternative
Yeah.
routes that you were talking about, and make sure they make the best route. Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah. Yes.
Your worship, these, like. I do understand in an emergency situation, we need to, you know, do as much as we can. The Upper Clinton Road, Scotchwoman's Bridge. I don't know if there's a weight restriction on that bridge right now, I could find out, but. I know on the lower end, Forbes Bridge. You try to navigate a big rig around that, we already had the sidewall ripped off once, maybe twice. Southbound might be easier than northbound, but. Still, we. And to saddle the residents of the municipality of Tweed with another big burden. You know, we just can't keep doing that. So. If they had a plan in place and they did have an emergency route. There. It would make sense that. They should pay for that to get it up and running, I would think.
No, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I mean, even Warden Mullen, Mayor Mullen from Sterling, the highway that they're responsible for, it's a highway and they have to take care of that whole highway. It's like nobody's getting any help. But anyway, it's a new era. Okay, we got to work. We'll lobby. We'll continue to lobby. We'll see if we can get some effort and some dollars put into these things. Yes, go ahead, Deputy.
Sorry, I was just thinking as we're talking, it might be something that as the police board, we could approach. And maybe we could arrange a meeting with all the townships along the 401 between Kildare and say. Marmora or Peterborough County, because that's where the traffic's gonna be starting to stop. Maybe we could get, LNA counties, detachment commander, Central Hastings, and maybe Peterborough County. And have them with us and our public works managers sit down at one table and come up with a plan of discussion and say how this should be approached. And I think if every township has a stake and has a say in it, and then all the detachment commanders, there's some clear direction there of what's going on, right?
Well, there you go. We found our lead on that. There you go. You're the lead.
I can bring it up at the next
Okay,
meeting.
okay, good enough. The other thing is, let's direct this, okay, like you said, to the Ministry of Transportation as well. It is a good concern. It's raised by a resident and talking about emergency routes. So we'll follow through on what you said there as well, if that's okay. Yes, Councillor.
Your
Taylor.
worship, I would hope that they would drive these roads instead of just looking at a map, because
Yeah.
a map and driving a road is two different things. Like that Robinson Road, I wouldn't wanna wheel a big rig up through that.
It's pretty soft.
Especially right now.
Okay.
You would, be in an awful predicament, I think.
Okay, well, this is good. Thank you very much. And then we'll also send a letter thanking, if you would, thanking Mr. Giguere for bringing this matter to our attention and letting him know what we done. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're moving into closed meeting. Oh, sorry. Be it resolved that council received the request from Robert Giguere as presented, and further that staff be directed to investigate with the Ministry of Transportation whether Robinson Road North and its access roads, Flinton and Upper Flinton, could be officially designated as an emergency detour route. And further that contact be made with Central Hastings OPP and Lennox and Addington OPP to set up a meeting with municipal representatives to input on proposed detour routes.
Yes, Mayor, can we add Peterborough County maybe in there as well? All the Highway 7 detachments?
Would that be a distraction for them though? Like, because we're focusing on the Flinton Road
It
one.
would be a distraction for Marmora if Marmara's at the table, is what I'm thinking. If we're having if we're having all of us there, it may be a distraction for Marmora if Peterborough County's blocked the traffic. Rerouting it. Well,
That's-
Peter, I don't know, you were there, you might be able to.
So to build off what Kelly said at 4 a.m, when things have gone sideways, they're not calling anybody. They're gonna make a decision based on their experience and what road appears the most passable and what's gonna be the easiest. I think the province isn't supporting municipalities that are affected by a 401 detour. The
Yeah.
chances of them supporting us are slim to nil for
Exactly.
our roads. And quite honestly, this takes on a bigger scope in the sense that Highway 7, although not as busy as the 401, if you ever stop traffic on it, it builds up pretty quickly. And to have the detours in place, it's great to say that we would like you to go north this way or south that way, but it really affects every municipality along Highway 7. So it's probably a great thing to bring forward, but it's almost something that should be attacked from a provincial perspective and go right from Peterborough right into Ottawa, honestly. But I mean, good to move forward on it, but
I'm just reading the motion again.
it's almost like.
So what do we say? Contact me with all OPP detachments along Highway 7.
They're the ones within our catchment anyway.
Yeah.
That's the only ones I have.
Well, you said Ottawa too?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's honestly something you could put on the detachment commander to address from an East Region perspective,
Mhm.
because that has to be a concern of them too. I mean, they don't want to inadvertently send trucks down Robinson Road and have them,
Go
get,
through a bridge or something.
yeah, something like that. So, and it does happen. I think we can all look to the fact that there's been vehicles rerouted down Clinton Road numerous times over the last few years. So definitely probably something they would like to look at, but they're probably more or better equipped right after.
So maybe I could just bring it up at a meeting and discuss and then have the staff sergeant, like say, circulate internally.
Let's do that as a stepping
As
stone
a starting point.
and still table this as we discussed with you, like, like as an information item and like, yes, okay. So do you have that?
You want to change it exactly did commercial.
We'll approach the detachment commander, arrange it with them to look into this. How's that? Okay. And further, that contact we made with, with our OPP detachment commander, to bring this to the awareness of our OPP detachment commander to reach out to other OPP detachments across Highway 7 corridor to discuss the whole concept of the emergency routes. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, now on to close meeting. Okay, be it resolved that council go into closed meeting. Oh, no, sorry, can I move in a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Be it resolved that council will go into a closed meeting at, ooh, tickety booing right along here today. Notification of closed meeting and staff direction. Could I have a move and a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Flaylor. Be it resolved that staff follow council direction from the closed meeting. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the correspondence information, please? Mover and a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull out? Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Demarche.
We have 3 requests from supports, one from the town of Bradford, one from the municipality of East Ferris, and one from Township of Amarath. I'd like to support all 3 of them.
I had questions on one. Let me just see which one it is.
The town of Bradford, it's kind of with about the rents, and it's kind of the landlord tenant reform is really badly outdated. So they're basically asking for, some protection to tenants, but also some protection to the owners. I think it's actually a balanced approach.
Okay, the one that I had just an issue with some of the wording was East Ferris.
Which
And-
are-
And it was the wording that said, well, it says, as whereas Canada is a sovereign nation with a peaceful history of self-government stating to its confederation in 1867. And whereas the Canadian identity is marked by a deep-rooted pride in its heritage and culture founded by the French and British settlement, enriched by Indigenous cultures. The Indigenous cultures were here first.
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess that. You're right.
Okay, and tradition. So if we did it, I would rework it to show, to raise those. I mean, it's up to you guys,
We
but
could say a culture founded by indigenous culture and enriched by French and British.
that's right. That's the way it should be as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Okay. So there's that one. Okay, so did anybody, I have no problem within supporting any of these. Anybody? Okay, I just want to see if there was, I don't think I had any more comments on any of them. No. Okay, so we'll pull those 3 out. Do we need a mover and a seconder in each one, or do we just do the 3 of them together? Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to show support for the town of Bradford, municipality of Ferris, East Ferris with amendment, and Township of Amaranth. A mover said, thank you, Councillor Valiquette, and thank you, Councillor Deputy Mayor Demarche. All in favor? Thank you. And just let me see here. Okay, Hastings County has sent and I just want to go through some ones I've tabled, an email, a letter to Premier Ford talking about the lack of infrastructure for small rural municipalities. And then I sent a letter to MPP Brise thanking him for the meeting that he had with CIO Pender and myself. County of Hastings, just their report, and then their economic development. And then talking about, there's a note there that Hastings County is proposing, which will be finalized on Thursday at our county council meeting of 4.67%. And there was also a comment by Mayor DeLine had tabled it about looking at possible amalgamation. And then there was, everybody was him and Han around the table. And so Mayor Henderson also thought it would be, especially up there in the north with all those smaller little communities, that it's something they should entertain. And then Mayor DeLine then said, well, let's look at many shared services that we can amongst our groups, like, and like, for example, we're going to be looking at possibly entertaining the county taking over our technology, like, technical requirements, those kinds of shared service types of arrangements. And then he says, for example, now we talk about asset management and having to close facilities, they close their pool. They are not going to keep their pool going. And he made a comment, maybe it's time that we look at a regional recreational complex. And I had mentioned that we were just finishing our master recreation plan, and that we had the possibility of someone donating land. And so like this would be something that we might be able to undertake if everybody kicked in. But I said, right now, when we're looking at it, it's not something we're entertaining for about 10 years or whatever, because we have other priorities. So anyway, it was a good discussion from that perspective. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I guess that's it. Go ahead.
Since you kind of, I forgot about that. Since you brought that up about in the conversation at county council with the amalgamation, was there any discussion on all 14 or whatever they are townships? Is there an appetite for such an event? And if we don't have an appetite for, we're going to undertake a cost, is what I was thinking.
Well, they were looking at having the province had indicated they would pay. If there was an appetite for amalgamation, they would provide the funds necessary to undertake such a study. So Connor Dory was going to look into see if that was actually still something that was available. Okay, but yes, thank you for raising it. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to go back up here. Be it resolved that council support the information. Be it resolved that the course. Okay. Okay, be it resolved that the correspondence information be received and filed. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And then we already did the other one, which was passed. And could I have a move and a seconder to table the conformatory bylaw number 2025-27? Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Be it resolved that the conformatory bylaw number 2025-27 be read a first, second, and third and final time passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 25th day of March 2025. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a move and a seconder to adjourn today's meeting? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Be it resolved that council adjourn at Lori. Oh my God, a record. Look what happens when Jacob's not here, right? Just zip right through.